President, thank you. I'm grateful to my Irish colleague for giving way, and coming from Scotland, the diversity of the United Kingdom is of course very important, where we have very different domestic politics. We have elections in the north of Ireland and Scotland and Wales in May. Would you agree with me that it's a democratic outrage for the vote to be held in June? That would be disrespectful to Northern Irish, Scottish and Welsh democracy. And further, given that we have different attitudes to the European Union within Scotland, the north of Ireland and Wales, would you agree with me that it would be a democratic outrage for those countries to be taken out of the EU against our democratic will?
Well, thank you for that question. I think I would absolutely concur with what you're saying with regards to Ireland's places in Europe, just as you're saying Scotland's places in Europe. And we hope that an English vote on this does not result in the north of Ireland being taken out of the EU, and therefore we would argue that for the north of Ireland, and perhaps you're saying the same for Scotland, that there should be a separate referendum and it should be calculated and counted separately, and that should be respected.
Thank you very much. Thank you also for adhering to the time limit. Jill Evans now for a minute and a half. No, Ms. Grappini, Mrs. Evans is going to speak now. Thank you.
Thank you, President. I represent Wales, and EU membership has brought positive economic, social and cultural benefits. I also believe that the EU has benefited from having Wales as a member. There's a great deal about the EU that I would like to change, but we can only do that by working with our European partners to improve policy and make the EU more effective. We are far better off working for change within than shouting from the sidelines. The UK government wants more subsidiarity. Well, so do I, and that is why the proposed changes to be discussed in Council must be fully considered too in terms of their impact on the devolved governments of the UK. There must be a proper debate involving those governments, and I regret that the UK government has not done that to date. It's a matter of democracy and fairness. My party, Plaid Cymru, is committed to remaining in the EU, and I believe that the majority of people of Wales want that too. And if Wales votes to remain in, we should not be dragged out against our democratic will. And that is why we've called for a mandate to leave only if the 4 constituent parts of the UK agree to leave. I want to engage people in an open and honest and a fact-based and a mature debate about this, because it's a decision that will affect many generations to come. Thank you. Diolch.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Evans. You have a blue card from Mrs. Grappini. Are you prepared to answer that?
Yes.
Mrs. Grappini, please.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted an intervention on the procedure, but I have a question. If we lift the blue card when our colleague starts talking, or after, because I was compliant with the discipline. My question to Ms. Evans is the following. Do you plead for the EU? I want European Union, and we do not want Brexit. But what do you think of what the Commission and Council say? We have 2 Europes, countries that are in Schengen area, countries that are outside. Do we have a united Europe or not, according to you? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I believe in making a much more democratic Europe, and that's why I think that there are other regional and national levels of government, small nations that are currently excluded from the decision-making process, and that if we had a stronger voice for that level of government, it would encourage more democratic participation and build a much better and stronger Europe for the future.